Welcome to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support while you go through the divorce process. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Welcome to today's Breaking Ties Destination Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, and we will be discussing how college expenses are handled for children when parents get a divorce. As we know, divorce can be very challenging. It's an emotional process for everyone involved. It's also important to consider the financial implications of this major life event. Specifically, we will focus on how college expenses are handled for children during and after the divorce process. First, it is important to understand that every state has different laws regarding divorce and how college expenses are handled for children. In general, there are two types of states: equitable distribution states and community property states. Equitable distribution states divide assets and debts in a fair and equitable manner, while the community property states divide everything 50-50. This includes college expenses for children, which may be considered a marital asset and therefore divided equally between the parents. Secondly, it is also important to note that the divorce settlement agreement will typically outline how college expenses will be handled for children. This agreement is legally binding, and it determines the financial responsibilities of each parent. Some parents may agree to split college expenses equally, while others may agree to cover specific costs or agree to a percentage-based split. It's critical that parents understand and agree upon their responsibilities before finalizing the divorce settlement agreement. Thirdly, it is important to consider the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA form, and how it's impacted by divorce. The FAFSA is used to determine a student's eligibility for financial aid, including grants, loans, and work-study programs. The FAFSA requires financial information from both parents, regardless of whether they are married or divorced. This means that both parents may be responsible for providing financial support for college, even if the divorce settlement agreement outlines a different arrangement. Lastly, it is important to consider the impact of remarriage on college expenses for divorce. If a parent remarries, their new spouse's income may be taken into account when determining financial aid eligibility. This can impact the amount of financial aid a student is eligible to receive, as well as the amount of money each parent is responsible for contributing to college expenses. In conclusion, divorce can have a significant financial implication for college expenses for your children. It is important for parents to understand the laws in their state, agree upon a plan for college expenses in their divorce settlement agreement, and consider the impact of FAFSA and remarriage in financial aid eligibility. By being proactive and considering these factors, parents can help ensure that their children's college expenses are handled fairly and responsibly after a divorce. I want to thank you for joining me today on Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the description. And remember that divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Take care. Welcome to today's Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce podcast. Today we'll be discussing how debt is handled when getting a divorce. Divorce, as we all know, is a challenging process, both emotionally and financially. And when there's debt involved, things can become a tad more complicated than we'd like. So let's dive into the topic and explore how debt is handled during a divorce. First, it's important to understand that there are two types of debt: joint debt and individual debt. Joint debt is debt that incurred jointly by both spouses, such as a mortgage or a car loan taken out in both names. Individual debt, on the other hand, is debt that is incurred solely by one spouse, such as a credit card that is only in one spouse's name. When it comes to dividing debt during a divorce, it's important to note that debt is divided based on the laws of the state in which the divorce is taking place. In some states, such as community property states, all assets and debts are divided equally between both spouses. In other states, such as equitable distribution states, debts may be divided in a manner that is deemed fair and equitable by the court, which may not necessarily be an equal division. If both spouses are jointly responsible for a debt, such as a mortgage or a car loan, the debt will typically be divided equally between them. However, if one spouse is solely responsible for a debt, such as credit card debt that is only in their name, they will typically be solely responsible for paying off that debt. It's important to note that even if one spouse is solely responsible for a debt, the other spouse may still be impacted if the debt is not paid. For example, if one spouse is responsible for paying off a joint credit card but fails to do so, the credit card company may go after both spouses for payment, regardless of who is responsible for the debt. This is why it's important to work with a knowledgeable divorce attorney who can help you navigate the complex financial aspects of divorce. Another important factor to consider when it comes to debt and divorce is that creditors are not bound by divorce agreements. In other words, even if a divorce agreement states that one spouse is responsible for paying off a particular debt, if that spouse fails to do so, the creditor may still go after the other spouse for payment. This is why it's crucial to have a clear plan in place for how debts will be paid off after the divorce is finalized. One option for handling debt during a divorce is to sell assets in order to pay off the debts. For example, if a couple owns a home with a mortgage and one spouse is unable to afford to pay the mortgage on it, the couple may need to sell the home in order to pay off the mortgage and divide the remaining proceeds. Another option for each spouse is to take responsibility for certain debts. For example, one spouse may agree to take responsibility for the mortgage, while the other spouse agrees to take responsibility for the credit card. However, it's important to note that creditors are not bound by these agreements, so it's critical to work with an attorney to ensure all debts are properly accounted for and paid off. In conclusion, getting a divorce, as we know, can be a difficult process, especially when there are financial issues involved. It's important to understand how debt is handled during a divorce and to work with a knowledgeable divorce attorney to ensure that all debts are properly accounted for and divided in a fair and equitable manner. By taking the time to develop a clear plan for handling debt during a divorce, both spouses can move forward with their lives and begin the process of rebuilding their financial futures. Thank you for listening to today's Breaking Ties podcast. If you have questions, my contact information is in the description. I would be happy to assist. Keep in mind that divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. All the best. Hello and welcome to Breaking Ties Destination Divorce Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the Marriage Settlement Agreement, also known as the MSA. This is a crucial document that is created when couples decide to divorce. The MSA outlines the terms and conditions for the dissolution of marriage. What is the MSA? Simply put, it is a legal document that details the agreement between two parties when getting a divorce. The agreement includes several elements such as property division, spousal support, child support, and custody arrangements if there are any children involved. It is essential to understand that the MSA is not a one-size-fits-all document. Each marriage is unique, and so each is divorce. Therefore, the MSA should be customized to the specific needs of each couple. The creation of the marriage settlement agreement is not mandatory, but is highly recommended. It is a crucial step in the divorce process and can help avoid any future misunderstandings or disputes. Now, let's take a closer look at what the marriage settlement agreement contains. First, property division. The MSA outlines how the property acquired during the marriage will be divided. This includes real estate, bank accounts, retirement plans, investments, and personal property such as furniture and vehicles. It is important to note that different states have different laws governing property division. It is important that you understand the laws for your state. Secondly, spousal support. This section of the MSA details how much money one spouse will pay the other for spousal support. The amount and duration of spousal support will depend on several factors, such as the length of the marriage, the earning potential of each spouse, and the standard of living during the marriage. Thirdly is child support. If there are children involved, the MSA will detail how much child support one parent will pay the other to support the children. The amount of child support will depend on the income of each parent, the number of children, and the amount of time each parent spends with the children, and other miscellaneous factors. Finally, custody arrangements. If there are children involved again, the MSA will also detail the custody arrangements. This includes physical custody, legal custody, and visitation schedules. The goal is to ensure that both parents play an active role in the child's lives and that the children's best interests are prioritized. It is important to know that a marriage settlement agreement is a legal binding document. Once both parties sign it, they are obligated to follow the terms and conditions outlined in the agreement. In conclusion, the marriage settlement agreement is a critical document in the divorce process. It outlines the terms and conditions for the dissolution of marriage and can help avoid future misunderstandings or disputes. The MSA should be customized to the specific needs of each couple and can include property division, spousal support, child support, and custody arrangements. And I want you to remember that the MSA is a legal binding document, and both parties must follow the terms and conditions outlined in the agreement once signed. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the description. Remember that divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Take care. Hi, and welcome to Breaking Ties Destination Divorce Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, and today we're going to do things a little differently as this is going to be Thanksgiving 2023 release. And while it's still going to be good content and stuff, when it's all said and done, it's probably a little more personal. Divorce process is full of legal terms. It's full of processes and procedures. It's full of all these things. However, we really want to take a step back from time to time and kind of just pause. Thanksgiving is a great day for doing this. Whether you celebrate it or don't celebrate it, it doesn't matter. You can still take the day to be you. We're thankful, and I'm thankful for, all the usual stuff, the healthy kids, being healthy myself, my girlfriend being healthy. Everyone around you plays a role. Be thankful for your support network, people you can lean on, close friends. Heck, even be thankful for your divorce attorney if you have one. I know, sounds kind of oxymoronish, but all in all, my divorce attorney, he and I talk regularly. We're good friends. So the process itself is very hard, difficult, challenging, emotionally draining, and you'll get through it as time goes on. However, I feel like every once in a while, take some time for yourself, self-reflect, and figure out kind of where you're looking, because this divorce process is going to come to an end. Thanksgiving or holidays in general is a good time to renew ties with family and friends. Oftentimes there are support network, so it's good to reach out to them. Let them know how you're doing, because they do care. And while this situation is stressful, you can often think of it as thankful as well. Thankful that there is a divorce process, that you don't necessarily have to be stuck in a situation that you're not happy in. You can still be thankful that there's ways to move on with your life. Even if it's not pretty, it's not fantastic, it doesn't feel good now. In the end, It will. You'll get there. You'll rebuild and you'll move on. This is going to probably be a little shorter than most, so I do want to thank you for watching all these episodes. I am thankful for my listeners. I enjoy teaching. This is a way that I can get out and teach about the divorce process, being divorced myself, and I have 2 boys. I look forward to spending as much time as I can with them as they grow. And if you have questions or you need anything, my contact information is in the description. I generally mean it when I say feel free to reach out. I'll do what I can. Remember, divorce isn't the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. You take care of yourself. Welcome back to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce, the podcast that helps you navigate the turbulent waters of divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, and today we're diving into a crucial aspect of divorce proceedings that many people may not be familiar with: discovery. What is discovery in the context of divorce, and why is it so important? Let's break it down. When it comes to divorce, there's often more at stake than just the emotional and personal aspects. Finances, assets, child custody issues can make the process highly complex. That's where the concept of discovery comes in. Discovery is the legal process in which both parties involved in a divorce case gather information, evidence, and documents related to their financial situations, their assets, debts, and more. It's a critical step in ensuring that the divorce settlement is fair and equitable. So why is it so important to have discovery? Well, it serves several key purposes. First and foremost, it promotes transparency. When you and your spouse are going your separate ways, it's essential to have a clear understanding of the financial picture. Discovery helps ensure that both parties are forthright about their assets and liabilities, reducing the risk of hidden or undisclosed assets. Discovery methods can vary, but they typically include requests for documents, written questions, depositions, and subpoenas. The goal is to collect all relevant information, and that could include financial records, such as bank statements, tax returns, investment accounts, and property valuations. Assets and debts, everything from real estate properties, vehicles, and personal belongings to credit card debts and loans. Income and expenses will need to be documented, including pay stubs, business profits, and regular expenses like rent or mortgage payments, utilities, and child care costs. Information on child support and custody arrangements, things like schedules and the financial support required for their well-being. Once the information is collected, it is reviewed by both parties' legal representatives, and any discrepancies or issues can be addressed through negotiations or court proceedings. The ultimate goal is to arrive at a fair and balanced divorce settlement. However, it is crucial to keep in mind that the discovery can be time-consuming and a costly process. It often requires the assistance of professionals such as forensic accountants to ensure all financial aspects are thoroughly examined. What can you do to make the discovery process smoother and more manageable? Here's some tips. Hire a skilled attorney. A seasoned divorce attorney can guide you through the discovery process, ensuring your interests are protected. You want to be openly transparent and honest with all documents that you share. Honesty is key to a fair outcome. Keep your financial records well organized to streamline the process and reduce costs. Divorce can be emotional, but maintaining composure during the discovery process can help you reach a more satisfactory resolution. Be patient. That's all part of it. As we wrap up today's episode, remember that discovery is an essential part of the divorce journey. It may seem intimidating, but with the right support and a commitment to transparency, it can ultimately lead to a fair and equitable settlement that allows you to move forward with your life. That's it for this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. I hope you now have a clearer understanding of what the discovery process is in the context of divorce. Join us next time as we continue to explore the ins and outs of divorce. Until then, remember that divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Take care and stay strong.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce with Mike Fulkerson. For questions, please reach out to Mike via email in the description or give him a shout at 630-444-1410. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow.